when you line up a fight and there's interest in it, and then the fight doesn't go ahead, it's a bit of a headache for the promoter. In this case, the chief exec of Boxer, Ben Shalom. And Ben joins us live in studio. Ben, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon.
I will, and Happy New Year, even though we're almost at the end of January. I haven't seen you for a while. Adam Azim's light welterweight match with Gustavo Lemos. It was due to take place this weekend at the Copper Box Arena, has been postponed. Both fighters sustained hand injuries. This doesn't happen every day, Ben, and it's a bit of a nightmare for you. What happened?
What a week. Absolutely crazy. Gustavo Lemos got a hand injury very, very late on, which was devastating news, really, for Adam Azim. He's fighting for the IBF #2, 1 fight away from a world title. And then we managed to get an unbelievable replacement. Spent 3 days, the team did, everything going to plan. And in his final spar, he's also had a hand injury, had his MRI. We thought perhaps we could get through, and the doctors have said absolutely no way. So that fight is off. That fight's been rescheduled for April, but the show goes on. Gladys Krause and Fran Hennessy will both headline the show on BBC Two. So show goes on, and Adam Azim's fight is rescheduled.
Gee whiz. I mean, as a promoter, is there essentially nothing much you can do to protect yourself in a situation like that?
It's very difficult. Look, I think when that happens, you're left in a situation where, do you keep on the show? You've got fighters that have trained over Christmas. You've got fighters that have had 8 to 10 week camps, and this is their fight of their careers. And there's plenty of talent on the card. And I have to thank my partners. I have to thank BBC. I have to thank the new broadcaster that will be involved on Saturday night that will be announced this week. I have to thank my partners, Betfred, and particularly Riyadh Season, because they've all supported me. They've all said, you know what, this is a big show on the national broadcaster. We've got 2 potential crossover stars, Fran Hennessy at 21 years old and Gladys Krause at 24, who both want to go on and become undisputed in their respective weight divisions. So massive nights for them. Hassan Azim, Adam's brother, who sort of goes under the radar because of the noise Adam is making, returns. He was a youth Olympic medalist as well. So it's a big show. But as you said, you're left with a decision. You know, a lot of promoters perhaps pull the show, move the show. You have 8 or 9 fights, you know, all out of sync. And for us, you know, we wanted to put it on. We want to make sure the fighters get their opportunity. And it's a great show on BBC Two.
All right.
On Saturday night.
You're plugging it well, Mr. Shalom. Here's the thing, though, Simon. When Frank was on recently, Frank Warren, he was talking about the fact that Moses Zatoma had sustained an injury, due to fight this month, and that Moses Zatoma would not be fighting. And in fact, the show was going to be moved to another date and scrubbed the whole card. Ben stuck with the show.
Broadcaster, I suspect. I suspect there might be a different dynamic between Frank's circumstances and Ben's.
Is it, Ben?
Look, sometimes boxing's weird, isn't it? We run businesses, but it is a sport. And so sometimes, was this an easy business decision? No. Is it an expensive decision? Probably. But I think when you look after multiple fighters, and as I say, particularly over the Christmas period, 8-10 week camps, you speak to your broadcasters, and as you said, you've got to get the support from your partners. But in the end, there's enough stories, there's enough big fights on that card to continue. But yeah, is it difficult choice as a promoter? Absolutely. It's definitely not a business decision.
Yeah. Dalton Smith at the start of the month became the WBC super lightweight world champion. He beat Subro Matias in New York. Dalton may, in the process, have superseded Ben's man, Adam Azim. What might happen when these two meet? Might they meet? Dalton Smith, as I say, joined us, and he spoke about Adam.
Boxing's one of those, it's you can win no matter what. You can achieve the best thing in the world. You know, become a world champion. Boxing doesn't allow you to enjoy it because it's always who's next. Or someone else gets talked about. But it's like, I don't want to put a downer on Adam Azim, but I've earned my stripes. And, you know, I deserve those big fights.
And the big fight might be you against the winner of Teofimo Lopez, Shakur Stevenson.
Exactly that. And I believe I've earned my position to go and get those fights. Go and get a big fight at Hillsborough. You know, I'm in that position now, so, you know, I don't want to put a downer on Adam Azim, but of course, go and win your world title.
Yeah.
I'm supporting you. I want you to go and do
And then
well.
we'll talk, yeah.
And then we'll talk.
And then we'll talk.
He was very respectful towards Adam Azim. As you might expect with Dalton Smith, he's a thoroughly decent young man. But has he now, in the pecking order, has he superseded Adam?
Look, Adam Azim's 23 years old. He's always had a few years on Adam, but I think Adam's knocking on the door of world titles. Dalton Smith, phenomenal win. I think a lot of people perhaps didn't expect it, and I know Dalton and his dad well, and I think for them, unbelievable. But Adam Azim, for me, is the generational talent in that division. He's the one that's going to go and unify. But I agree with Dalton. Go and win your own world title. Adam Azim is one fight away from that. I've always said this is a super fight. This is Khan Brook levels. This is two British guys right at the top of the division. For me, probably the best two in the entire division. And they've got to go and prove that. Adam Azim will have his day. He needs to win a world title, I believe, this year. And then you've got one of the biggest fights in modern British boxing. You know, we look at a lot of the fighters retiring. We look at Tyson Fury. We look at Anthony Joshua. We look at those guys coming to an end. And these two in this division, and for me, the best division in boxing, have a massive, massive opportunity. Could it happen this year? Perhaps. Would it be perfect that it happens for a unification, of course? And yeah, credit to Dalton Smith. But for me, Adam Azim is the one to watch.
You were rolling your eyes a bit when Ben was extolling the virtues of Adam Azim.
Well, no, he's a very good fighter, and we'll see if he gets his shot against someone like Richardson Hitchens and wins a belt, and then sits at a table with Dalton Smith and has a conversation on equal footing. When you've got fighters like Teofimo Lopez in the division, I think it's a stretch to start talking about generation.
No, Teofimo is not a natural 140, but as I say, for me, Adam Azim
doing a good impression of it.
Adam Azim beats Teofimo Lopez all day long. This is the best fight. I think him and Moses are the best two fighters we have in Britain coming through.
And Adam Azim would beat Teofimo Lopez all day long?
Without a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Okay. How do you manoeuvre Adam to something like that?
Look, he's going to fight Gustavo Lemos for that number 2 position. Then he's one fight away, as Simon said, Richardson Hitchens. He's the fight that we want. He's the fight that we believe we'll get. Gustavo Lemos, in my opinion, and in many people's opinion, beat Richardson Hitchens. Possibly feels like he should be the world champion right now. That's his next fight. And look, he's moving in record time. This guy's 23 years old. He's way, way ahead. I mean, no disrespect to Dalton Smith, but where was he at 23 years old? There's not many fighters that are where Adam Azim is at 23. And he breaks records. He'll continue to break records. And yeah, timing is everything, and hopefully that fight happens towards the end of the year or early next.
You're now operating with BBC and free to air. Has it been a fairly bumpy start for Boxer post Sky? And the reason I ask, we know what happened with Jamie TKV, Fraser Clarke, but were the figures?
Look,
the viewing figures anywhere near where you wanted them to be?
Our job is to put on 50-50 fights. We want to put on big fights, and that means it can go either way. Fraser Clarke, Jamie TKV did 1 million viewers on the BBC, which is, no one can even compete with that. No one can even compete. Jamie TKV's just changed his whole life and whole trajectory. Callum Simpson, Troy Williamson did 3 times what they normally get in that slot on the BBC. You've got to look at it where, on a Saturday night, what else could be on the BBC? If boxing can beat the typical entertainment shows consistently, that's where boxing is at.
But Ben, you came on the scene as a disruptor, potentially. Is free to air really and honestly where you want to be?
Absolutely. And of course that's disruption. This is about putting boxing in mainstream homes, not hidden, not behind paywalls, and no disrespect. What DAZN do in particular have done a phenomenal job, but what we're doing, putting boxing back on the national broadcaster, I don't think any other promoter could do that. I don't think any promoter would do that.
Yeah. Have you got the names to do it? It seems to me when Hearn talks, when Warren talks, we're talking about top fighters.
Adam Azim,
with all due respect,
Adam Azim is the number 1 prospect in Great Britain.
He's a potential.
He's no. He's headlining shows and he's
but you
doing
use the word prospect.
Listen, when he's fighting at world level, he might be a prospect, but he's still a world level fighter. Gradus Kraus, who you'll see on Saturday night, is going to go through that light heavyweight division and absolutely take the floor with it. So Fran Hennessy is going to become undisputed. Lauren Price will fight in April.
Going to be.
Lauren Price is the best female fighter on the planet Earth.
But the bottom line is, on free to air, how do you get the big names to commit?
Well, we've done it with Adam Azim. We've done it with Lauren Price. Will our pay-per-view shows be on a different platform? They will. Will the shows that require millions of pounds be on different platforms? Yes. How do we create household names? How do we make stars? We don't make them by hiding them. We make them by putting them on the biggest platforms in this country.
So that's what we do. You can still compete with Matchroom and with Queensbury.
We still are, and of course, I think this year is going to be a huge year for us.
Ben, I want to get to Chris Eubank Jr. in a second. You were in Dubai with him last week. Fraser Clarke, I'm seeing a bunch of messages from people. What's the latest from Fraser?
Made some big changes. He's now training in Manchester near me with Joe Gallagher, and I think that's a big change. That's a needed change, and I think he's with someone that's very experienced, that's been there, done that. Obviously, Lawrence Okoli's in the camp as well, so good sparring. But yeah, he's doing well. He's still reeling about what happened against Jamie TKV. It was a terrible night for him. But he's with Joe now, and he'll be looking to make a return in April, May. Jamie TKV will be back on March the 7th at the Albert Hall in a massive show that will be announced next week. So both of them doing well. Fraser Clarke probably back April, May.
Last time out, it wasn't a great showing for Chris Eubank Jr., beaten by Conor Benn, and he evens up the situation between the two of them. You've been in Dubai with Eubank Jr. Is he coming back?
He is. Look, he's managed to get what he needed to do done. So now he's recovering from that process. He's recovering from what he needed to get done after the first fight, really, and just didn't have the time. And he's in a good place. He will fight at 168, which is where he should be fighting at super middleweight, and he'll making a big return this year. But it's good to see him happy. It's good to see him recovered. It's good to see him healthy. It's good to see him being able to do the things that most of us take for granted, because that really was not what his year looked like last year. So he'll be back this year at super middleweight.
I don't want you to get into areas that might be difficult, but what did he needed to do that needed to be done?
He needed to have treatment and a procedure happen to fix the issues that he had. He'll talk on specifics when he feels ready, but it was, as I say, what he did last year to have those two fights in the condition he was in was phenomenal. Add to that fighting at 160, add to that a ridiculous rehydration clause, and he put himself through a lot. So it's good to see him getting the break, the rest, the recovery, and the treatment that he needs. And I'm looking forward to seeing a fully fit, a fully functional, and a Chris Eubank Jr. at the right weight.
Can you honestly confirm to us today, Ben, and be honest with me, that he was in the right nick to go in last time against Conor Benn? He was in the right condition to fight Ben again, because compared to the first fight, he was a shadow of himself.
Look, he wasn't 100% the first fight.
Should he have fought the second fight?
It's very easy to say in hindsight, no. But if he'd have lost the first fight, we'd have said the same about that first fight. He put on a monumental performance the first fight. And as you said, in the second fight, it was unfortunate. Things flare up at unexpected times, and it really did that week, and it really flared up for him, and he wasn't about to let anyone down and felt that he could do enough on the night. He couldn't. He threw about 30%, I think, of the punches that he threw the first fight. He was clearly not the Chris Eubank Jr. that we all have been used to watching for many, many years, and that opened a door for Conor Benn. But Chris Eubank Jr., as I say, 168, will return fit, healthy, and hopefully won't have to put himself through that again.
You're nonplussed on this particular subject, aren't you, Simon?
Well, there was no need for a second fight. The only reason he fought a second fight was because he's getting paid enormous amounts of money. There's no jeopardy in this fight besides money. And the rehydration clause is laughable because that was his choice. He didn't have to have the £1 million bonus. He could have waived it. He could have said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to rehydrate the way I want to, and I'll waive off £1 million. So this narrative that gets put out there is just nonsense. If people want to buy it, it's up to them. Chris Eubank coming and fighting at 168, let's see who he fights. Let's see if he fights a live one. I bet he won't be fighting Hamza Sheeraz anytime soon.
He wants the big fights.
He's always wanted the big fights. He wants the money. And nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. They're in the business of prize fighting. But let's not dress it up to what it isn't. If he fights for a world title, I'll be gobsmacked. And if he fights Hamza Sheeraz, I'll fall off this chair.
Is he going to fight Hamza Sheeraz, Ben?
He'll take the best fights available. He wants to win a world title. He wants to fight his natural weight. Hamza Sheeraz has got to get himself in that position and get his own title. But of course, as Simon said, let's not make, I'm not going to sit here and say that he won't take the biggest paycheck. He will take the biggest fights, the one that create the biggest noise, the one that create the biggest numbers, and the ones that filled out stadiums, title or not. That's what Chris Eubank Jr. is, and he won't shy away from that. Is he good enough to win a world title at super middleweight? I believe fully fit, absolutely. And of course, he wants to marry the two, and so hopefully we see him.
And it's your job to try and get him that world title.
Listen, he's the biggest name in the division still, other than Canelo. So he will be presented with the right opportunities, because everyone wants that paycheck as well. So he's just got to get himself fit and healthy, and the opportunities will present themselves.
Do you agree with Ben that he still is the biggest name in the division
aside
of Canelo?
From a media
Even
point,
off the back of a defeat at hands of Ben.
From an achievement point of view, absolutely not. From a marketing point of view, because he's box office and brilliant in press conferences, and because he carries the legacy of his father's name, of course. We've just seen it. We've just seen a pup of a fight being sold to the public for tens of millions of pounds.
The first fight was one of the best fights you'll ever see.
Yeah.
And has inspired many, many people to get into boxing. So I think he's done his job this year for British boxing.
So before you go today, Ben, come on, give us it straight. When's he going to fight again and where?
He will fight in the middle of this year. There's conversations. There's a lot of places that would like to see him fight. He'll fight in the middle of this year. We'll speak to Turki Al-Sheikh first, because he supported us and supported his career.
So that means he'll be in Saudi?
No. We have to speak to Turki first, just because of everything that he's done for his career, and he's given him the 2 biggest nights of his life. And so then we'll see. But he'll fight in the middle of this year, and it will be a big name.
Okay.
Enough for boxing, maybe.
In spite of what you think. Simon Jordan, thank you so much. Ben Shalom, good to see you again. Good luck with the
Saturday night,
the
BBC
Saturday night
2.
Fight night, BBC 2. Okay, not often I've ever promoted anything like that in my life, but there we go. Ben, fantastic. Ben Shalom with us live this lunchtime.